The Sterling Gallery's vault was supposed to be unbreachable. Designed to withstand anything from a seismic event to a direct assault, its security system was a marvel of modern engineering. Yet at 2:15 a.m. on October 26, 2023, that system was silently deactivated. No alarms, no motion sensors triggered. The vault simply opened. That's where it gets strange. How does a diamond, the legendary Mona Lisa's smile, vanish from inside a hermetically sealed vault without a single forced entry, without so much as a whisper of an alarm? It challenges the very definition of a perfect crime. Let me walk you through what happened. Marcus Thorne, head of security, discovered the missing diamond during his routine check at 7 that morning. Panic, as you can imagine, quickly followed. The official investigation began immediately, with Detective Anya Sharma arriving on site by 9:30 a.m. Her initial assessment, given the pristine condition of the vault and its surroundings, pointed to one thing: an inside job. But the evidence, or rather the lack of it, would soon frustrate that assumption. The first forensic report on October 27th confirmed no physical trace of any perpetrator. No fingerprints, no footprints, nothing. This wasn't just a clean job, it was a ghost's job. What doesn't add up is the sheer impossible nature of the vanishing act. A diamond gone from a chamber designed to be impenetrable. The question isn't just who took it, but how. What kind of genius thief could accomplish this, leaving absolutely no trace behind? The official version leaves this unexplained, and that's a significant problem when you're dealing with a vault that guards millions. The missing signature. The Sterling Gallery's vault was supposed to be unbreachable, designed with layers of biometric scanners, pressure plates, and laser grids, a fortress. Yet, the Mona Lisa's smile diamond vanished without a single alarm. No forced entry, no shattered glass, just an empty pedestal where a priceless stone once sat. This wasn't a smash and grab, this was something else entirely. It hinted at a precision that defied conventional theft, raising a fundamental question. How do you steal from a vault when the vault itself remains sealed? Detective Anya Sharma's initial assessment leaned towards an inside job. It was the only explanation that made any sense. But the first forensic report, arriving on October 27th, complicated matters. Not a single trace of the perpetrator. No fingerprints, no stray fibers, nothing. That detail matters. The absence of evidence here became evidence itself, suggesting a level of planning and execution far beyond what they first imagined. 2 days later, on October 29th, the investigation pivoted. A deep dive into the gallery's digital infrastructure revealed it had been compromised months earlier. 6 months prior, to be exact. A sophisticated, nearly undetectable malware was found, designed to mimic normal network traffic. It was dormant, a ghost in the machine waiting. This wasn't just about physical security, it was about the digital shadows. But who built it, and why? Then, on November 3rd, Dr. Julian Reed, a cybersecurity expert brought in by the police, identified something unique within that malware: a digital signature, a dormant code string, unlike anything seen in public databases. It was a fingerprint, not of flesh and bone, but of pure data, a unique calling card left by a brilliant mind. This signature, elusive and complex, became the central piece of the puzzle, a silent whisper from the thief themselves. It posed the next critical question: who possessed the skill and the audacity to leave such an intricate mark without fearing detection? That's where it gets strange, because this signature, it connected to far more than just a piece of code. A life unseen. The first forensic report confirmed no physical trace of the perpetrator. Not a single fingerprint, no stray hair, no fiber, nothing that linked anyone to the vault itself. This clean slate challenged Detective Sharma's immediate assumptions. It suggested a level of precision, a meticulousness that was unsettling. The official story implies a surgical heist, but the reality was far more disturbing. It pointed towards someone who understood the environment intimately. Someone who knew how to move through a high-security area without leaving a trace. That detail matters. That's where the investigation shifted its focus. What doesn't add up is the utter absence of traditional evidence. How does someone bypass hypersensitive sensors, navigate a vault, and extract a priceless diamond, all while leaving less behind than a ghost? The timeline shows Thorne discovered the missing diamond at 7 a.m. Sharma arrived at 9:30 a.m. But the official report doesn't account for the complete lack of forensic material. This raises an important question. Was the design of the vault itself flawed, or was the thief simply that good? Sharma's team began an exhaustive review of the vault's original blueprints. This was a long, painstaking process. Page by page, schematic by schematic, they searched for anything overlooked, and here's where it gets strange. They discovered a minor, previously overlooked discrepancy in the ventilation shaft schematics. A detail so small, so insignificant it had been dismissed for years. But for a thief leaving no other trace, this could be the key. This tiny architectural deviation, this a life unseen, suggested a method of entry and exit that bypassed the physical security entirely. It wasn't about breaking in, it was about moving through. The implication was clear. The vault wasn't breached, it was circumvented, and that changes everything. The anonymous tip. The Sterling Gallery heist, a case already riddled with anomalies, took another turn on November 1st. An anonymous tip, a call the police initially dismissed as another crackpot lead, landed on Detective Anya Sharma's desk. It directed investigators to a defunct art restoration studio, a place seemingly disconnected from the high-stakes world of gallery theft. Why this specific place? The call offered no explanation, only the address. But here's where it gets strange. A technician sent as a courtesy found something. Tucked away in a dusty corner, beneath years of debris, was a small, custom-made drone component. This wasn't an off-the-shelf part, this was engineered. That detail matters, because it pointed to advanced technical skills, a precision that contradicted the randomness of an anonymous call. The component itself was unusually light, crafted from an alloy that seemed designed for stealth, not power. It was too small to carry anything substantial, which only deepened the mystery. What was its purpose? If the diamond was taken by a drone, this miniature piece suggested a scale of operation far more sophisticated than anyone had imagined. The official theory of an inside job, while still plausible, suddenly felt incomplete. How could an insider, even a brilliant one, possess this level of specialized engineering knowledge? The police began to reevaluate the anonymous tip. Was it a diversion? Or was it, in its own cryptic way, a clue meant to be found? The evidence suggested a carefully controlled leakage of information, a breadcrumb trail left by someone with a very specific message. But for whom? And why leave it in such an obscure location? The question wasn't just who placed the component, but who wanted it to be found. The record shows that this small piece of hardware would soon lead to an even more significant discovery, connecting the digital world to the physical act of theft. It was the first tangible link to the phantom thief, but a link that raised more questions than it answered. The flawed blueprint. The anonymous tip had led to the discovery of a custom-made drone component, a piece of sophisticated engineering pointing to a high level of technical prowess. But a drone needs access, a pathway. That's where the investigation circled back to the gallery itself, to its very foundation. Detective Sharma's team, after days of painstaking review of the Sterling Gallery's original blueprints, uncovered something critical on October 28th at 3 p.m. A minor, previously overlooked discrepancy in the ventilation shaft schematics. This wasn't a small inconsistency. This was a blueprint error that now, in retrospect, looked less like a mistake and more like an intentional omission or a deliberate blind spot. The official plans showed a straightforward, closed ventilation system. But what was found during the forensic architectural review suggested a more complex, perhaps compromised, design. The question immediately became, why was this detail missing from the master plans? And who would even know to alter or exploit such a specific flaw? The discovery challenged the very idea of an impenetrable vault. If the blueprint itself was flawed, then the security built upon it was equally vulnerable. This discrepancy opened up a new avenue, a physical one that aligned with the digital breach Dr. Julian Reed was uncovering. The two seemingly separate threads of evidence, the phantom malware and the hidden architectural flaw, began to weave into a single cohesive narrative. It suggested not just a genius thief, but a meticulous planner with intimate knowledge of the gallery's deepest secrets. Secrets not even the security head, Marcus Thorne, appeared to possess. The second access point. Julian Reed, brought in for questioning on November 11th, denied direct involvement, claiming his online musings were purely theoretical. This was consistent with his profile, a reclusive, brilliant software engineer. But then, investigators found something else. A coded message embedded within his personal devices, a message not from Julian, but to him. It outlined the vault heist in chilling detail, offering a substantial payment for his specialized skills. This wasn't just theoretical anymore, this was a contract. The sender, a shadowy figure known only as the Maestro, had clearly orchestrated an intricate plan. Julian, caught in the digital act, finally confessed. He admitted to creating the specific malware detected by Dr. Evelyn Reed, his own sister. He also designed the custom drone component discovered days earlier in the defunct art restoration studio. Yet, he insisted on one critical detail. He never physically entered the vault. The deep penetration into the Sterling Gallery's security, he claimed, came from within, compromised access codes, and highly detailed blueprints of hidden service tunnels, all provided by the Maestro. This changes everything. It meant the impossible breach wasn't through brute force or obvious hacks. It was engineered using intimate knowledge of the building's deepest secrets. The paper trail tells a different story than a lone wolf hacker. It suggests an inside job, yes, but far more sophisticated than initially assumed by Detective Sharma. What Julian's confession revealed was a second, forgotten access point, a subterranean network within the Sterling Gallery's neglected basement archives. This neglected space, connected directly to the ventilation system, became the unseen conduit. The diamond then wasn't smuggled out a back door or through a breached window. It was extracted via Julian's miniature drone, navigated through these very tunnels and the ventilation shafts, moving away from all visible security. This explains the lack of physical trace, the missing fingerprints, the silent alarms. The theft wasn't about overcoming the vault's front-facing defenses. It was about bypassing them entirely, through a forgotten backdoor known to select few. The digital footprint. The physical realm offered no answers, no forced entry, no fingerprints, no obvious signs of tampering. It was as if the diamond had simply evaporated. But Detective Anya Sharma knew better. If a crime left no trace in the real world, the logical next step was the digital one. This is where the paper trail shifted, from blueprints and security logs to lines of code and network packet analysis. Here's what the timeline shows. On October 29th, 3 days after the theft, a deep dive into the gallery's digital infrastructure began. What they found was a sophisticated, nearly undetectable malware. This wasn't some off-the-shelf program, it was a custom build, introduced 6 months prior, designed to mimic normal network traffic. That detail matters because it points to long-term planning, a patience rarely seen in such bold heists. Now, recall the security system of the Sterling Gallery's vault, deemed unbreachable. The malware's function, as Dr. Evelyn Reed, the renowned cybersecurity expert, would later confirm, was to silently deactivate major security protocols, specifically those governing the vault's environmental controls and its early warning systems. It waited dormant, a digital ghost in the machine, until the precise moment it was needed. Think about this. A security system designed for ultimate protection was compromised not by brute force, but by a meticulously crafted digital whisper. This raises an important question. Who could build such a tool? And why was it so specifically tailored to the Sterling Gallery's unique setup? The very existence of this malware turned the investigation on its head, shifting focus from a potential inside job involving physical access to something far more intricate, a battle of wits, fought in the invisible world of data. What didn't add up, however, was the complete lack of digital noise. No surge in network activity, no failed login attempts flagged. The malware operated with a surgical precision that baffled even Dr. Reed. It was as if the thief knew the network's every vulnerability, every blind spot. This isn't just hacking, this is intimate system knowledge. On November 3rd, Dr. Reed finally identified a unique digital signature within the malware, a dormant code string never before seen in public databases. It was a digital fingerprint, unlike any other. And this digital footprint, this unique signature, would become the breadcrumb leading the investigation down an entirely new path. The inside man. The digital footprint led directly to Julian Reed, CipherGhost. But Julian, the brilliant software engineer, wasn't the one who physically took the diamond. The evidence suggests a much more intricate game, orchestrated by someone who knew the Sterling Gallery's secrets intimately. That's where the concept of the inside man begins to crystallize, not as a direct perpetrator, but as the architect of the impossible. November 11th, 11 a.m. Julian Reed is brought in for questioning. He denies involvement, claiming his online posts outlining theoretical security bypasses were just intellectual exercises, a hacker's puzzle, not a blueprint for crime. His sister, Dr. Evelyn Reed, the very cybersecurity expert aiding Detective Sharma's investigation, provides insights into Julian's past. Evelyn confirms his fascination with impenetrable systems, a mind drawn to the challenge, not necessarily the illicit gain, but the timeline doesn't add up. Why would someone so brilliant, so obsessed with intellectual purity, leave himself open to being tracked? The anonymous tip that led them to the custom-made drone component, the very malware Dr. Reed identified, it all points back to a highly skilled, deliberate operation. Julian Reed's confession comes on November 13th, 3:00 p.m. He admits to creating the malware, building the drone, but he insists he never physically entered the vault. He states that the Maestro, a shadowy figure, provided him with compromised access codes and detailed blueprints of the gallery's hidden service tunnels. This detail matters. It means Julian was a tool, albeit a willing one, in a larger scheme. It means someone else held the keys, not actual keys, but the knowledge of the gallery's forgotten arteries. We're talking about blueprints so specific, so overlooked, they wouldn't appear on any standard security schematic. This suggests a knowledge spanning decades, an institutional memory of the building's deepest vulnerabilities. An inside man, yes, but not in the way Detective Sharma first imagined. Not a security guard, not a technician. Someone with a much deeper, more nuanced understanding of the Sterling Gallery itself. Someone who knew its past, its secrets, its hidden shame. That's where it gets strange. Julian's devices reveal a coded message from this Maestro, outlining the heist. It confirms his complicity, yes, but also the existence of a larger network. A network stretching far beyond a recluse in a mountain cabin. Someone with access to old schematics, details so obscure even Vault architect Elias Vance, initially evasive about ventilation system modifications, might not have remembered all of them. The question wasn't just how the diamond was taken, but who possessed the specific, almost forgotten knowledge to allow such a surgical strike. The evidence suggests a ghost in the machine, whispering secrets to Julian Reed, and that ghost, it resided within the very walls of the Sterling Gallery. The interrogation tapes. Julian Reed sat across from Detective Sharma, his body language evasive, a stark contrast to his sister Evelyn's directness. Purely theoretical exercises, he claimed, regarding the complex online discussions of Vault security bypasses. Yet the precision of the Sterling Gallery heist suggested anything but theory. Sharma pressed on, detailing how the malware mirrored his online posts, how every vulnerability he theorized had been exploited. Julian's facade began to crack, but he held firm, reiterating his non-physical involvement. He insisted his contributions were digital, remote, that someone else had orchestrated the physical breach. This is where Evelyn's insights became crucial. She spoke of Julian's genius, yes, but also his intense fascination with systems, specifically their breaking points. She described a childhood spent dissecting impenetrable puzzles, not for malice, but for intellectual conquest. That detail matters. It paints a picture of a mind seduced by challenge, not greed. But then, investigators found it, a coded message on Julian's devices. It wasn't a request for theoretical discussion. It was a direct order, outlining the Vault heist, complete with a substantial payment. The sender? The Maestro. This confirmed Julian's complicity, shifting the focus from a solitary genius to a sophisticated network. Julian, confronted with this digital paper trail, finally confessed. He admitted to creating the malware, to designing the drone components, but echoed his earlier claim. He never entered the vault. The Maestro, he revealed, had provided the compromised access codes, intimate details of the gallery's hidden service tunnels. A deeper, darker game was at play, far beyond Julian's intellectual thrill-seeking. The official version, up to this point, had focused on the digital breach. But now, it was clear there was a physical element, an inside hand, guiding Julian's technological brilliance. The interrogation tapes reveal a pawn, albeit a brilliant one, in a chess game he didn't fully comprehend, a game controlled by someone with intimate knowledge of Sterling Gallery's deepest secrets. The invisible hand. Julian Reed confessed to the technical creation, the malware, the drone, but he insisted he never physically entered the vault. That detail matters, because it meant someone else had to. He revealed the Maestro provided him with compromised access codes and detailed blueprints of the gallery's hidden service tunnels, information only an insider could possess. This led Detective Sharma to Sterling Gallery's neglected basement archives, a location often forgotten, filled with dust and disused files. But within its forgotten depths, a second, hidden access point waited. It connected directly to the ventilation system. The diamond, Mona Lisa's smile, had been extracted in plain sight. Through that system, maneuvered by a miniature drone controlled remotely. An invisible hand, indeed. This raised a critical question. Who knew about this forgotten access point? Who held the keys to Sterling Gallery's deepest, most overlooked secrets? The answer, when it came, was as unsettling as it was logical. Detective Sharma confronted Arthur Sinclair, the gallery's long-standing curator, a man whose financial distress was significant and whose knowledge of the gallery's hidden infrastructure was encyclopedic. Sinclair, outwardly unassuming, confessed he was the Maestro. Sinclair's motive was not just greed. It was a dark, profound understanding of the systems he oversaw, a desire to prove their fallibility and to exploit the very history he claimed to preserve. The Mona Lisa's smile diamond was recovered, found in a safety deposit box rented under a shell corporation linked directly to Sinclair. The case finally closed, but not without leaving profound questions about how truly secure anything can be when its guardians become its predators. This case demonstrates that the most sophisticated security can be rendered useless by human weakness and insider knowledge. It's a chilling reminder that the greatest threats often come not from outside but from within, that the very systems designed to protect can be used to betray, and that the most brilliant minds can apply their genius to the darkest of intentions. Case closed for now. If you found this investigation compelling, please like this video and subscribe to the evidence log for more deep dives into the hidden truths behind the official stories. Join us next time as we open another file, searching for the facts that others missed.